Hello and welcome back to Conquest Creations. My name's Jacob Lucas, the Conquest creator, and I absolutely love the Middle-earth strategy battle game. It's such a fun game with some really cool tactics, really enjoyable play, awesome thematic moments, and a heap of variety in the models you can choose from. And there's a lot of content about there talking about competitive play, how to build the best army, what the strongest units are, and this is a lot of my content as well. What the best army list is, how to win this game, a lot of competitive stuff. And today, I want to take a step back from that. I want to go back to the roots of what a game is. A game is about having fun. So in this video, I'm going to talk about my top 10 picks for the most fun models to play in the game of the Middle-earth strategy battle game. Now, importantly, what I find fun and what you find fun might be slightly different, and that's totally fine. Have a shot at some of these and see if you enjoy them as much as I do, and leave your recommendations down in the comments below, and I'll have a shot at the ones that you guys recommend. All right. What do I find fun in a model? I find interaction fun. Models that have strong abilities, but only give you those strong abilities at a cost or with something that you have to achieve beforehand. So it's like playing a mini game within the game. Now, these profiles aren't in any particular order, and importantly, I've chosen these on models that I think are fun for both players. There are some models that are super powerful, and I think they can be a little bit of a drag to play against. So I've thought about both players in this. Now, my first pick for one of the most fun heroes is Bifer. This is Bifer either in Thorin's company or as the champion of Erebor. Now, Bifer is really fun. He's just got a very generic profile with a 3-up hit. And he has the throw stones ability, which if he stays still, he can throw stone 8 inches that's strength 1. It does absolutely nothing, but it's hilarious when this comes up. The main fun is that he has a special rule where there's an axe embedded in his skull. Now, if he goes into combat, if he wins the fight, he can choose to just make one strike where he headbutts his opponent. If he wounds with that one strike, the axe has been ripped out of his head, and he can then call a heroic move every single turn for free. That's awesome. That's super cool. So he doesn't always get this ability because you have to achieve something with it first. So the first part of the game is always this mini game of how can I get Bifer set up into the right position where he can fight someone weak and hopefully kill them in one shot so that he can get this ability off. And then once you have it off, it gives you a lot of control over the game, which allows you to move your models how you want, and then you don't need to stress about spending resources on heroic moves, which is you don't want to spend my might points on killing stuff, not just on moving, and he lets me do that. So he enables the rest of the army as well. All right, next on my list is the Great Beast of Gorgoroth. This is the giant cow of Mordor. Now, it does impact hits, so when it moves into base contact with you, it hits you with 2 strength 6 hits. If it kills you, it gets to keep going to the next guy. So if it rolls well, it can just stampede through a line of troops, which is awesome to see if you're on the receiving end or the giving end of it. Now, it also has 10 orc archers sitting up inside its howdah. These orc archers basically have great line of sight, so they can always shoot, and it's really fun to shoot into combat with your own guys. You can, if you have a hero fighting against a couple orcs, you can shoot in and try to kill that hero, even though you risk killing your own orcs, which is always fun and really engaging. If you do kill the Great Beast, the cool thing is that the archers don't die with it. Instead, they all take falling damage and they land where the Great Beast base was. So you kill it and all of a sudden a bunch of guys drop down below. It leads to a lot of really cool and fun moments. They're quite a popular unit here in Melbourne, Australia. Lots of people like to play them. At 300 points, you can take 2 of them because they're only 150 points. So we see lots of lists like that. Lots of lists taking more than one because they're that cool. And I'm hoping to get some here on the channel soon, and you'll see just how cool they are. Next up in my list is Ori. Now, this is another member of Thorin's company. I think that Thorin's company is one of the most fun armies to play in the game. And that's why I've chosen 2 members from it. Ori is an absolute meme machine. So firstly, he gives all models, all other Thorin company members within 3 inches of him blood and glory. So if they kill a hero or a monster, they get a point of might back. That's really cool because it gives you more resources, more decisions to make, and more stuff to play the game with. But look, the real reason I chose him is he has a slingshot. He's the only model in the game with a slingshot, I think. If I'm wrong about that, leave a comment, but I'm pretty confident. If he stays still, he can take 2 shots instead of 1. So that's pretty good. The slingshot is range 12 and strength 1. So that's pretty bad. But if he hits on the roll of a 6, it ignores all in the ways and it automatically wounds. So this little 40-point dwarf just rolls his dice. If he gets a 6, he's sniping out big heroes' horses, he's doing damage to big heroes, and it's absolutely hilarious. Everyone that I play against is always terrified of Ori, because he's this little dude who shouldn't do anything, and he needs to get really lucky to do stuff. But oh man, he's such a sniper when he gets going. It's hilarious. There's one game that I was playing against Azog, where Azog was wounded, he had 2 wounds, no fate, and Ori had him in line of sight, rolled 2 dice with 1,000,000 in the ways. 2 dice, 2 natural 6s. There's Azog dead. Hilarious moment. Every player around there loved it. Next up, now I've gone hard into this whole dwarf theme for this list. I've played a lot of dwarves, and I really think that the Hobbit dwarves are some of the most fun. I've got Thrall. This one people might disagree with, and if you do, that's fair enough. I get it. Thrall's 120 points. He's a 6-inch banner, so great support piece. Really good there. He's not very, he's good at fighting. He's got 3 attacks, fight 6, strength 4, so pretty good. But he's defense 9, meaning he's an absolute tank. And he's got the Arkenstone, which is an ability, he only has 1 fate, but he passes on a 3-up. So that's nice. But if he gets a 4, 5, or 6 with his fate, he keeps it, so he can use it again. So he can shrug off a lot of wounds. He also has a shield, so he's really good at winning the fight and just stay alive. And he has heroic challenge. So you can go into a big hero and call a heroic challenge, and he can say, we're going to fight for the rest of this game. I'm not going to kill you, but you're not going to be able to kill me even though you're way stronger than me. So we're stuck here fighting in this awesome duel. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy playing him. And sometimes even if you put him in the worst position, he gets totally surrounded and they do a bunch of wounds to him. Sometimes he can just shrug enough to survive, and it's hilarious. Next one is the Wildman from the army of Dunland, or from the Isengard profile. With a couple of support pieces, or with 1 support piece, these guys can get the Fearless special rule from the Oathmaker. And other than that, they're just generic dudes. They're like strength 3, fight 3, defense 3, courage, I think 3, but you know, they can get fearless. And the reason I find these guys so fun is because they're just like hobo dudes running around the battlefield. And you know, when they kill an elf, it's like, oh, this random dude who's just, you know, living up in the hills of Dunland somewhere gets a kill, and it's hilarious. You never expect them to do anything, but they're still really good at getting into big stuff, and when you put enough of them there, they eventually get lucky and do something. I find them hilarious to play against. I haven't got a chance to play with them, and it might just also be that everyone who plays with them knows that, you know, they're just hobos. They're there to have a good time, and it makes it a really enjoyable experience. They're also really easy to kill, so I like playing against things that are easy to kill. That's fun for me. Next up, we have Aragon in all of his iterations, Aragon Strider and Aragon King Alessar. The reason I chose Aragon for this list is because he gets a point of might per turn, which means you have all these resources to spend on cool stuff. My favorite part about Middle-earth is the heroics, is the tactical decision making, and Aragon lets you do that every single turn because he always has a point of might. You're always in the game, and you can always do cool things. It's really hard to use them right because sometimes having too many choices can make it difficult to see which one is the correct one, and you really need to use them right to get the most value out of them. So you get rewarded for playing with him more and get him really good with him. Next up, keeping with my dwarf theme, we have the Grim Hammers. Why do I like the Grim Hammers so much? Well, if you take Thrall, they can get to defend, or they can get to strength 4, which is good, so they hit hard. They have a throwing weapon, and then they have a Matic, a hand and a half Matic, sorry. So they can choose to either bash or piercing strike, and they can choose to 2-hand or 1-hand, and they have a throwing weapon. I like these guys because they're the troops that give you more options than any other troop in the game. Every fight with them, you can have a think about what decision is the best, and that makes it really interesting to play with them, and it again rewards you for getting really good at using them and using them a lot. And next in our list is the Warmim of Harad. The Warmim is such an iconic model, and it's absolutely awesome to see it on the table. It's one of the biggest models in the Middle-earth line, aside from Smaug. That they have the way they work is when they charge, they do impact hits to the person that they charged. If they kill that person, they keep going. So that means that you can potentially stampede through a whole entire army in one move phase, which is always fun to see. Even if you're on the receiving end of it, it's pretty cool to see a Mumak do exactly what they did in the movies. And with that, if you do wounds to it, then the Mumak has to take a courage test, and if it fails, it's gone crazy, and that means that the opponent of the Mumak gets to control it in the movement phase for that turn, so it can stampede through its own guys, which is always even more fun to see. They're such a cool wildcard piece to see on the table. They're not the most competitive choice, but they're always really, really fun. And there's a lot of ways to play around them that's still engaging. Because they have so many archers up on top, they kind of draw enemy models towards them because you can't just sit back and get shot that many times. Next on our list is going to be Kardash the Firecaller. Kardash is basically a Mordor Orc Shaman with extra special rules. Basically, he starts with a certain amount of will points and he can throw fireballs and fury. Fury is his really good support spell, and fireballs are cool because who doesn't like fireballs? But he doesn't have that much will, so he can run out pretty quickly. But he does have an ability where at the start of a turn, he can kill an orc within 6 inches of himself to regain D3 will points. I absolutely love this because sometimes if you're well ahead, it's fine. You can kill an orc, who cares, you get more fireballs. But sometimes when your army's taking a lot of damage and you really need every single orc, but you also really need his magic, it's a really tough decision to make of, do I kill that orc and cast more fireballs? Or do I keep that orc and hope that I can win this game without the fireballs? It makes it really engaging. I love stuff where you kill your own models because that's always really fun. He also has another special rule where if there's a Nazgul on the board, that Nazgul can kill Kardash to regain D6 will points. So similar to how Kardash can kill an orc, well, the Nazgul can do the same thing to Kardash but get D6, which could potentially be a lot more. With someone like the Witch King, that can make a really, really big difference in a game. Makes him a really fun and engaging unit to use. Next up, we have a tied position for the final one in the list, and that's the Keeper of the Dungeons and Bolg. Now, these are obviously quite different profiles. Well, not really. The Keeper of the Dungeons is basically just mini Bolg, and they have basically the same special rule. The more stuff they kill, the stronger they can become. When Bolg has killed 2 models, he gains the Terror special rule. When he kills 5 models, he gains the Harbinger of Evil special rule. And if he kills 10 models, which is really tough to do, he gets the Mighty Hero special rule. So if he kills 10 models, he basically becomes Aragon. I really, really like this because it makes Bolg kind of have his own mini game going on. Bolg is absolutely amazing at killing heroes, but if it's late in the game and he's already killed, say, 6 or 7 models, even if there's a big hero that might be worth charging to try to kill, it's probably better off for Bolg to go after those easy troops. If he can munch them and get to 10, then he gets the Mighty Hero special rule, which is so powerful. Then he gets a point of might per turn, which is absolutely fantastic. It's really difficult to get off in low points games because generally you don't have that many models. But if you're playing at 700, 800 points, it's pretty reasonable. Against an army like Goblin Town, it's actually relatively easy to do to get 10 kills with Bolg. Now you can combine that with him having the Master of Battle special rule if he's in the Azog's Legion army list, which gives him a lot of resources that he can copy from his enemies. This one's not as fun to play against, but it makes Bolg really fun because you don't need to be blowing his might on kind of random little things like heroic moves and stuff like that, because he can just copy the enemies if they try to do that against him. Now onto the Keeper of the Dungeons. He's very similar to Bolg. If he gets 1 kill, he rerolls 1s to wound. Once he has killed 3 models, he gets Terror. And then if he kills 5, he gets to reroll all failed to wound. So it gives you that really fun interaction. And killing 5 models with this guy isn't actually too difficult. Like if you want to kill 5 troops, it's pretty good. And then if you kill 5, he gets strength 5 burly with 2 attacks. So he puts out a lot of damage. That's been my pick of the top 10, sort of 11, most fun models to play in the game. If you like this video and this format of video, please let me know in the comments. I like spreading our content out, having some competitive things, but also some really focused on the theme and just the fun of it. Leave the models that you think are the most fun down in the comments. This has been Conquest Creations. Thank you for watching.